besties. You've found your community bestie to share thoughts and opinions, recap the shows we love,
having too much fun.
Bravo should be fun, and have piping hot gossip sessions about the celebrities and Bravo lebs we love, hate, and love to hate.
He went on a podcast claiming he had a threesome with 2 women from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Immediately, I was like, I wonder if it's Brandy and Carlton.
I'm Caitlin Marshall, your pop culture and Bravo bestie.
Allegedly allegations.
And if you enjoy fun conversation between friends, listening to your bestie rant about shows we can't get enough of, plus enjoy a little bit of, well, ridiculousness.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. There's a spider that is coming down. Hold on.
It's like the Blair Witch Project.
Oh my God. Has anybody seen my ring?
Oh my God.
I don't want to ruin the party or anything.
Have you seen my ring? Oh my God. Can you look on the floor for my ring? God, someone's gonna kill me.
Don't mess with me because I will come.
What? Oh.
Feel free to leave that in for whatever entertainment purposes.
You're in the right place. So thanks for joining me on Besties by Bravo.
Hi, besties. Thank you for joining me today. It is Wednesday, April 9th. Do y'all know I have to look at the date on my computer every time? I should keep track. I do. I have so many things on my brain. Have y'all heard, really, I'm sure you have, the latest controversy, a few of them, surrounding Erika Jayne? Yeah, we are recapping the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion part 2, darling, today. Now, Erika, if you haven't seen my posts on TikTok and Instagram, let's start with this. First, people were not happy with her whenever she had said, in response to Andy asking her, "Wow, that's a really nice dress, Erika. Who made it?" And she just went, "Oh, I don't know, some random designer. They made it for me." Well, people were like, "Girl, you can name the designer." I don't know. First, I was like, I don't know if it's that this designer is not haute couture or what it was. But then it turns out the designer is Valdrin Sahidi. If you haven't heard of Valdrin Sahidi, gorgeous designs. However, there was a huge thing last year about how this company, I'm not going to put it all on him, but it's kind of part and parcel whenever you're the face of the company and you're the designer, that he and his company, will say, were essentially scamming brides. Yes, down to these brides would be purchasing the dress. They'd go to like a pop-up show or, a trunk show, and they try on, say, dress A, and they would fall in love with dress A. And then they'd be like, okay, we're going to order it, but they had to make dress A for them. So it would be a completely different dress, number one, that they would see in the updates, because this would be out of the country with where the dresses were being made. And not only that, it was the same story every time, that this bride would be saying, okay, we are approaching the date. Say they're getting married May 15th. It would be 4 weeks before the wedding. And they'd be like, where is my dress? Because for a lot of women, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of women, especially brides, okay, that dress is everything. Listen, Sex in the City, the first movie, Sarah Jessica Parker, Carrie, she changed her whole wedding around trying on that Vivienne Westwood dress. The dress is very important. There's a whole show, Say Yes to the Dress. And they sometimes wouldn't even get their dress at all. Okay, most of the time. There was only one. Now, out of all of the videos, I saw 2 that received their dress. One of them, the rhinestone clusters were like, you know how rhinestones, they can have that metal casing that kind of holds them in, and how typically, especially on a white gown, they would not be a darker metal. Well, it was like black on one of them. This one bride had to lie and say that her wedding was, I don't know, even though it was in September, she had to say, well, my wedding is in May. And they still got the dress to her what would have been a week after her fake wedding date. So that's one part of it. The other part is I really have to say the vast majority of these brides that were getting scammed and having these issues were Black women and women of color. It was very odd and not okay. All right. So that I'm wondering if that's part of why Erika didn't say the designer name, but then also it makes you go, well, girl, why did you even wear one of his gowns to begin with? The dress was beautiful, yes, but I mean, it wasn't the most unique thing I'd ever seen. She could have had just about any designer that's very good make that dress. And I'm not knocking Baldwin Sahidi at all. The designs on that site that I have seen, and he's dressed Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, they're stunning. But at the same time, she could have gone to someone, not Marco. If you know, you know. So there was that. And it starts with Erika not giving credit where it's due. So when Andy had mentioned at the top of the reunion part 1 to Erika, oh my gosh, yes, your song that you were on Drip was in Honora that won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Fantastic. And all Erika said back to him was, "Oh, I was just a feature." Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, I want to make this clear about both things. Number one, let's start with this one. A lot of people are not fully getting why it was so crappy that she didn't say, well, it was Brooke Candy's song Drip and she brought me on as a feature. Not much longer of a sentence. Okay. Brooke is an independent artist. It was her song. And what that could have done for her, giving her just a little bit of a platform, you didn't have to give her a whole bouquet of flowers, just hand her a rose. Just be like, oh yeah, that was Brooke Candy's song. People would have been flocking to look Brooke Candy up, not just Erika Jayne Drip up. And Brooke called her out on that. And it wasn't just that. Erika also had hosted a private screening of Honora, didn't mention Brooke, called it her song, and she didn't even invite Brooke. So Brooke sends her a message and she's like, hey, babe, you mind crediting me on your Instagram post? Erika has more followers than Brooke. So what that could have done, just getting the eyes on her. I'm not saying Brooke would have gotten a record deal, would have been the biggest household name on the planet because of it. But I think you guys were doing each other a favor, Erika and Brooke. And it would have shown the type of collaborator you are, Erika, if you had mentioned her. And, a lot of people also were like, well, why did she have to mention this designer if she paid for the dress? If they gave it to her for free, then no, she doesn't have to say anything. Right. Sure. But it also shows that you credit people who are a part of your entire look, your entire brand. To me, it was not okay. And the whole Brooke Candy thing, let me do my best to put this in a perspective for anyone who doesn't, have their hands in that, we'll say Hollywood industry or media or things like that. Let me start with something that personally happened to me. When I first started my Instagram account, I would make memes and I would be making them myself. Not rocket brain surgery. Okay. Simple enough. But when you get an idea and it's your idea alone and you create something of any kind and you put it out there for the world, if someone who has a larger platform takes it, uses it, and doesn't credit you, it doesn't matter what it is, that's not okay. So, for example, I remember I made one that a very large account that is still very large. This person has podcasts, does a whole thing. They started out as a meme account. And of course, I would watermark with my handle name in all of my little memes. She reposted one of my memes, but she didn't tag me. So basically, unless someone looked closely enough and went, oh, who made this? There's their watermark. I got no credit when there were millions of views on it. And I remember even messaging this person, and it happened more than once. And the second time I was not happy. I was like, girl, this is the second time I had to reach out to you. Always excuses. Okay. At the end of the day, she is in that game. She knows how to credit someone and what it would have done to help me. That's all, and it's like working on a group school project and you have someone who one of your classmates that really wanted to be on your project and has always wanted to be on a project like this. So you're like, okay, fine. You can, I don't know, write American Revolution, the history of it. It's been a while since I was in school. And that's pretty much all they did, aside from give you a few things and maybe stand up there with you for the presentation and said one sentence. And then the teacher goes, wow, Erika, great project. Congratulations on being a part of it. And Erika doesn't say, you, so-and-so, it was their project, but I was happy to have a small part on it. And then what would that do? That cause the teacher to look at you and consider you as well a bit more. It's the same type of thing. I'm trying to make it make sense. Okay. I'm trying. Anywho, y'all, let's get on into the Beverly Hills of it. I spent a long time talking, shall we? We are getting Jennifer Tilly joining just before Kathy Hilton. And I am salivating, my friends, at getting to talk about them on this stage. They both had me cackling last night. I mean, for me to do my full-blown embarrassing Caitlyn cackle, it takes a lot, and I did it. Okay. At the top of this, Sutton and Garcelle are talking about how they're surprised at how angry Kyle is, and both just kind of going, I want to go home. And this is where we cut over to Kathy getting her hair and glam done, and her hair done by the stylist that she and Dorit used to share, Crystal, and who Dorit didn't pay. Kathy's also getting a foot massage. Oh, to be Kathy Hilton. The multitasking that does seem to occur to ensure Kathy Hilton shows up as Kathy Hilton is quite admirable. It's amazing. I really do believe that the girl massaging her feet is also Kathy's brand manager, also known as her assistant. Gosh, do you know what that reminds me of? Because it's also Kathy's bare feet. I had an acting teacher in LA. Very prominent studio. Whenever you would take her masterclass, which you had to be approved to go take her masterclass, it was a 3-day weekend. And on the final day, you would have to give her barefoot a foot massage as you said a monologue or, I think it was a monologue or did a scene of some sort. Every single actor in the room had to do it. Fascinating, isn't it? The weird things you will do to try and make it in that industry. It's no casting couch, but my God, I did have to rub someone's bare Flintstones. So Kathy's stylist, Chris, asks her how she's feeling, and she just says, I'm good. I enjoyed the chicken lunch. And he's like, hun, no, I'm not talking about the lunch, baby. I'm asking how you feel about going out onto the stage with this horde of, hissing cats. Oh, I'm very excited. Like I said, to be Kathy Hilton. And this is as we cut to Garcelle saying while she's sitting down on stage, I'm very annoyed. Do I look annoyed? Telling Sutton that it's better to just go ahead and speak your truth now than to have it come back around with some other shit. They're back from lunch and Andy lobs it over to Garcelle, asking her if there was something she wanted to say to Kyle. Garcelle tells Kyle that she feels as though Kyle told her things off camera to shut her up. But Kyle says that she told her off camera because there were things I couldn't say on camera. And I told you because I was trusting you and sharing with you. It was my way of getting to a deeper level with you and showing that we're friends and I'm trusting you. Garcelle's just like, okay, thank you. Garcelle is over it at this point. And wow, I wonder how this would have gone if they hadn't really gone so hard from the get only at Garcelle. I don't know. I think Garcelle just felt completely underprepared for the pile-on that happened regarding Dorit's robbery. That truly was, I just felt that was ridiculous. They're acting as if Garcelle is the only person in the world that had questions. My God. But Andy isn't going to let it go the way Garcelle is pretending to let it go. And he asks if it's about she who shall not be named, Morgan Wade. Andy brings up the question for people at home who are saying that Kyle is on a reality show, so she should be telling the audience everything. He asks what Kyle would say to those type of people. She says she's not going to, for example, say anything that is going to affect my daughter's lives for a TV show, for a network, for fans, for ratings, ever. So if it's going to hurt somebody that I love and care about, I don't care. So Morgan is someone you love and care about. Wow. I don't know if y'all saw this either. Patrick McDonald, he was a producer for Bravo for 5 years or so, 5.5 years maybe. He was a producer on Beverly Hills. In fact, he had a lot to say about the work environment at Bravo, his side of the story about how the environment is. Because remember, these crew members and also the stars, there's no union for reality stars. And, as much as it sort of kills me to say, I agree with Bethany Frankel that yes, reality stars absolutely deserve unions. There need to be set working hours, or else, hey, honey, that is overtime. And I think where they run into that issue is the reality stars are paid per episode, not for the number of hours they work. And so that would be additional payment that would be required, but it would require a minimum standard payment for crew members, for everyone. And he said that there was an issue, and he wouldn't name the show, but it was very clear it was Beverly Hills, with one of the franchises he was working on most recently. Again, it was Beverly Hills, and how there was a network executive. To me, I don't know. I don't think it was Andy from the way he spoke about it, that basically, he felt as though they were really trying to force Kyle to come out, which is never okay to do. That's no one's story, journey, anything but that person's, right? And that this network exec would be kind of playing in Kyle's face, acting empathetic and sympathetic to how she was feeling about it all. And then Kyle would walk off. Now, he didn't name Kyle, but I mean, come on, it's very apparent. And that they would be saying completely different things behind her back, just like, she needs to go ahead and share this. And it's such a tough situation because I am such a nosy bitch. I want to know. And I'm tired of the what if, are they, aren't they? And I also don't care. I also want for Kyle to be happy. But I encourage y'all to go check out at the Patrick McDonald, because he also was saying that his belief, now it doesn't sound like there was actual proof. So allegedly, his belief is that he was essentially pushed out of his position as a producer because it was discovered that he does have an OnlyFans, and he did that to supplement his income. Bravo is very sex positive, so that would be very alarming if that's the case, because I'm sorry, I don't care if my producer is out here doing whatever they want to do for the money. They're not dealing drugs. My gosh. So go check it out. It's interesting, and I love a lot of it was a peel back of the curtain a bit on how things operate within the producers producing their reality stars. He made 2 videos about it. They're a little long, but worth watching. He's very just the way he speaks, he's very eloquent. Yeah, almost like a little bit of a TED talk. Anywho, Andy asks, we got there. Okay. So Bose tells Kyle that she doesn't see why it's not all right for Kyle to say straight up, I'm not sharing, and to stand in that 10 toes down with this boundary. But that she also doesn't have to be saying, oh, I'm sharing at the same time if she's not. Kyle says that she could have just chosen not to say anything and zip her mouth like some other people here. I wonder who she's talking about. Because, yeah, who is she talking about? Andy moves on to Dorit's claim that Kyle has a different set of rules for her than she does for everyone else. And Dorit says, yep, as Kyle tells her that she feels the same way about Dorit because she acts differently with Erika than she does with her. And when Dorit asks her how, Kyle says that Dorit is quick to forgive and let things go with Erika and not with her. But Dorit doesn't feel that she has ever held any type of grudge with Kyle, and says that she lets things slide with Kyle more than anyone in this group. But no surprise here, Kyle disagrees with that. Now, Erika decides it's time to chime in because, well, it was her HGTV season. So last episode, it was, is that my coffee table? And now it's the one thing she really has happening, which is Erika says,
all I know is that I have PTSD coming here today because I thought, my God, is somebody going to come in my dressing room and show me a text?
Andy asks Dorit if she stands by showing Erika the text. Dorit is so long-winded, y'all. She really is. My goodness. It's like, is there any oxygen left in the room because she had to suck it all up? Dorit says,
You know, when Kyle went publicly and said that I exaggerated our friendship, there were no more rules. I mean, you couldn't go any lower. That I exaggerated our friendship? To me, that was the last straw that broke the camel's back. That meant that there were no more rules. It was simply to demonstrate that I had sent her a text message months before. No response. There was a good 3 or 4 months.
So Kyle clarifies that it was for her birthday that Dorit had texted her 3 or 4 months prior, and it was after the Watch What Happens live appearance Dorit made, and confirms that she was upset with Dorit after that appearance. Kyle felt that it was just Dorit taking a dig at her and their friendship, knowing how saying that the closer Kyle got to Morgan, it felt like Kyle was really pulling away from her and that it would get Kyle more shit publicly. Dorit reminds Kyle that the question was, look, how is Kyle's friendship with Morgan affecting the friendship with Kyle and Dorit? And she says,
I was just answering honestly.
Dorit reminds Kyle that the last time she had seen Kyle was when they were in London having dinner for Mauricio's birthday, and that Morgan was there as well. But that after that, Kyle distanced herself from Dorit. Kyle says she's now trying to look at the situation from a different point of view, and that even though she herself knew that Morgan had nothing to do with pulling away from Dorit, and I assume she was about to say that she realizes now that Dorit had no way of knowing that herself, Kyle does apologize to Dorit. Okay, are we moving on? No. Andy says that Dorit told Kyle the real reason she believes she's mad at her is because of the comments about Morgan on Watch What Happens Live, and asks Dorit why she thinks her comments got Kyle in trouble with Morgan. Dorit admits that she does believe that anytime Morgan's name is mentioned in association with Kyle, that Kyle probably gets the brunt of how it affects Morgan because Kyle brought her into this. Okay, friends, like Andy's about to say some of this. Morgan is a public figure in the music industry. So the more successful she is, the more people will talk about her and her personal life. Sadly, they go hand in hand. That's the way it goes. I think the only person that really doesn't get a whole lot of their personal life talked about is maybe Willie Nelson. And people do talk about his personal life because they're like, that man, he is a stoner. But they pretty much leave him alone. And, I don't know if Morgan Wade is trying to go the Willie Nelson route. I don't think she is because she's sober anyway. But that being said, the thing is, if you want to be successful in that regard, then yes, you will become more and more famous because fame brings listeners to her music. Fame sells the tickets to her concerts, and that makes people want to buy merch. And by the way, remember, I've told y'all, my mom used to work for Van Halen, Chicago, The Doors, in accounting. And when I tell you, it isn't the concert ticket sales that make them the money, it's the merch sold, just so you know. But fame, in the end, when all of this is a factor, will help Morgan earn a living as a musician. Otherwise, you're a starving artist. So unfortunately, in that industry, you can't have it both ways. But Kyle only agrees with Dorit about the fact that she is the one who brought Morgan into this world and admits she feels guilty about it because it causes Morgan anxiety. And again, thank you, Andy, for pointing out that Morgan is a public figure as a musician. And that Kyle she does have a point when she says that the Bravo fandom is much different than the fandom of, say, the music industry or film television. Andy's like, yeah, okay, but your life becomes speculation with the rise of your star, just as I was saying. And Kyle says she hadn't experienced the kind of eyes on her as Morgan hadn't in this way until she came on the show and was associated with Kyle. But Andy says the real thing here, y'all, that he also sees that Morgan experienced greater publicity, greater attraction, and interest as a result of this. And I have to be honest, I think Andy is getting a little bit annoyed at Kyle about this. And I do have a question here. We all, I hope, again, know that it's never okay to try to force someone to come out or out someone in any way. I also wonder, as someone who personally, I'm not a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and it's a question I have in my mind, and it's something I wonder respectfully. Is it possible that it would maybe help anyone who is like Kyle feel that they could come out if Kyle were brave enough to do it. Now, Kyle does not owe that to anyone at all. It's not Kyle's responsibility to help someone who is afraid to come out feel more comfortable doing so, unless it's someone she knows, things like that, by doing that herself, if that's the case for her. But it is a question I have. I wonder how many people there are out there who are close to her age or not even close to her age, similar situations, watching and seeing how clearly frightened it seems Kyle is by all of the speculation, and it might fuel their own fears about who they really are. I don't know. I wonder also if seeing how, staunchly Kyle won't go there, it just makes them wonder and believe that they wouldn't be accepted either, the way Kyle seems to maybe believe that, and they think they would have to shove down who they really are. I don't know. I wonder about that. And again, I don't feel or believe that it is Kyle's responsibility to give someone the confidence to do that. But I do wonder how many people it would help if this is the case for Kyle, if she were to brave it and do it. Just a question. I'm not, again, and I ask that respectfully. That's just a thought, just in the same sense that I talked about how even hearing about egg freezing and how many eggs someone has left or not to try and have a child, it really gives me anxiety because I would love to have another child myself. But the reason I can't has completely to do with financial reasons. And y'all, I'm already past the geriatric pregnancy stage. And if they don't change that goddamn name from geriatric to, I don't know, maybe leveled up pregnancy, leveled up past 35. Assholes, a man did that. I know he did. Anywho, Kyla says that she did not get in trouble with Morgan. That's not how it is. And Andy goes on to mention Morgan also got the publicity of a New York Times article. Then he says, but I do just want to point out, putting out a music video that is like the two of you as lovers contributed to a conversation that was already a runaway train. And that was totally in her hands. But Kyle defends Morgan, saying it was also in her own hands as well. Andy then tells Kyle, it's like at a certain point, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And then Dorit jumps into this and says,
Agreed. But you guys have said, if they're going to talk about it, let's give them something to talk about.
Kyle says that she didn't get in trouble, but that she couldn't deal with one more thing. This was the icing on the cake. And she also doesn't address what they've just said about Morgan, though. That was quick pivot. Interesting. Andy says what Dorit has proclaimed about her friendship with Kyle is needing more openness and honesty, while Kyle wants more accountability from Dorit and asks if the two of them got that from each other and have gotten to that place. Well, Kyle thinks they could still work on that. And Dorit says that she felt like they were getting there with that until,
of course, the whole PK text message, which I'm sure we'll end up talking about.
And Andy's like, all right then. Guess Dorit is now the host of this reunion. He moves on to the text messages between Kyle and PK. And let me just say, I'm 1,000,000,000% on Dorit's side in this, but y'all also know I'm a little bit cuckoo. And also, I just am too much of a girl's girl to be okay with something like that. Like, no, how dare you message my husband in any capacity like that? Ooh, that irks me. Ooh. I said I'm a little cuckoo, but I admit it. Makes it okay, right? Dorit asks Kyle if she can see that in that moment in the season flashback around this, when Kyle told Bose that if Dorit wanted to see her phone to see the messages between her and PK, she can fuck right off. Sorry, this episode, let me also clarify. I hope you don't have the babes in the car listening to this. There are a few more curse words because things I don't know how to explain. There were certain things Dorit said in this part of the reunion that it sounded very different to my ears without the bleep in it. And I have to point them out. I have been trying to be better about not cursing as much lately. Are you happy, Mom? I do have other words I can use besides curse words, but still, I feel like it gives a completely different feel. And if you have access, if you have Peacock, please go watch it uncensored, because Dorit rubbed me completely differently when I watched it uncensored. The way it sounded without that beep sounds totally different, I swear, at least to me. But I nitpick at little tiny things. Anywho, now that I've put that cursing disclaimer in here, you know, put the headphones in if you need to, or the AirPods, earbuds, whatever you kids are calling them these days. Back to Dorit asking Kyle about what she said to Bose regarding if Dorit actually expected to see those messages between Kyle and PK. And Dorit asks Kyle, can you wrap your head around how fucked up that is? Kyle wants to back up a little bit and says it wasn't some random day she sent him that message, because it was about them they're announcing their separation. And that she had also texted Dorit, but that Dorit never responded to the message. And Kyle says, other than something like that, she and BK don't really communicate that much. But, y'all, we see a flashback of a scene that didn't air between Kyle and Erika, with Kyle telling Erika that PK tells her a lot of stuff. And she said it in a way like, well, PK tells me a lot of things. Like it's about Dorit. And ew. I mean, the way that would feel so dirty to have my friend's husband, ex-husband, estranged husband, I don't care, talk shit on her to me. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the thing. No one, if that's your friend, no one should feel comfortable talking bad about them to you. Dorit says what she's currently speaking on is Kyle reading the text at Chuck E. Cheese, and Andy points out that Kyle did finally read the message at Bose's wellness party, with Dorit saying, yeah, but she didn't want to, and when she did, she got even more mad and stormed off. And then we move on to the poll from Watch What Happens Live, where Andy asked the audience, hey, do you find it inappropriate, the message between Kyle and PK? And Kyle's not surprised that the audience would confirm in this Watch What Happens Live poll that it wasn't okay for her to be texting with PK like that. But she says it, in a very, of course the fans would say that because I'm the victim of everyone and they just don't like me kind of way. Y'all know I'm struggling with Kyle right now because I have always liked Kyle, much to the hate I get for that, but I just haven't been able to help it. But she is lying here. She is saying she and PK don't talk that much, and it gets revealed over and over and over. She says she understands that, though. And Andy asks everyone if there is a Team Kyle member in any of this, and it's silence until Erika says,
I didn't think it was what everybody said that it was. I took what it said as not talking about Dorit, but talking about the show. That's completely how I read it.
Okay. Sutton says it wasn't anything insidious, which everyone agrees. Like, no one was trying to have an affair. No one thinks Kyle is trying to hook up with PK. But Bose points out that it's about the insinuation that there are secrets between Kyle and PK that no one else would be able to find out and that they would guard and hold. Exactly. Andy, for the win here, asks Kyle how she would feel if Dorit sent that exact message to Mauricio when they separated. Plus, Andy, we know Andy sees and has heard all those ridiculous rumors about Mauricio and Dorit that personally I don't believe. But hey, y'all, crazier things have happened. This humbles the hell out of Kyle. You see it all over her face when she has to admit, yeah, it would bother her if Dorit did that. Kyle would have wrung Dorit's little neck. Come on. It wouldn't have just bothered her. She would have been furious, and it would have been a storyline for the entire season. Kyle, girl, I don't know if I've had my rose-colored glasses on with you, but suddenly I'm like, the double standards, everything. What's going on? Maybe the veil's lifted for me, or maybe it is a newer thing. But knowing how much people dislike Kyle, it might not be. And Kyle says that she's just trying to tell Dorit that her intentions were essentially pure. Dorit then tells Kyle,
But Kyle, you can still abide by girl code.
So Kyle asks Dorit where her girl code was when Dorit read the text Kyle sent her for millions of people to see and hear. And that wasn't to Kyle even just breaking girl code, that Dorit was breaking friendship code, human decency code. I mean, yeah. Dorit Kemsley's temperature is rising because she starts yelling,
Kyle, don't you understand? At this point, we were not friends in my mind.
Kyle says, exactly. And that if they weren't friends, then why did she have to go to Dorit and tell her that she was texting PK? I don't know if it's almost worse. Oh, almost worse. And that it felt like every time for Kyle, she came in the group, she felt like it was a constant thing of them coming at her and she'd had it. And then Kyle points to Sutton and Garcelle saying, these two who don't even like you are saying, oh, I can't believe it. And it was just really to Kyle, everyone coming for her. Well, because that was a shitty thing to do. You shouldn't have been texting with PK. You could have sent, I'm very sorry to hear what you and Dorit are going through. I'm here for both of you in any way I can be. It's the, I won't repeat anything you ever told me. I don't know how you could take that as it being about production. I'm so sorry, but I don't get it. Bose ends up saying, look, I am the one who was saying you should have just blocked PK. Dorit tells Kyle her reaction was way too over the top, which Kyle actually concedes to, and she agrees with that assessment, we'll say. Dorit says that the response she would have expected from Kyle was just a simple, hey, I saw, you guys were separated, so I texted you both. That's all I was doing. And Kyle says she wishes she had said it like that, but that she is a girl's girl coming from a family with two sisters, having all girls. And then she does admit it doesn't look like a girl's girl with someone who is texting the ex-husband of their friend. Dorit then says,
you are my friend, and if we are as close as you suggest,
well, what, Dorit?
It depends on the day.
Yeah, it very much does, but okay.
But if we are that close, you don't do that, Kyle. But you're not even friends with him like you are with me. Yet you're in your confessional saying PK's been a better friend to me than Dorit has.
Flashback shows that Kyle was saying lately PK has been a better friend, but still, I would, big problem. Kyle tells Dorit that PK had been checking on her during the separation, which Dorit questions. That is what makes him a better friend to Kyle than her? I mean, I guess in some ways. Some. Then she asks Kyle to just marinate on it because she was not in a good place and points out that at the wellness event, when it was a breakdown over the PK text, she went after Kyle, even though she was hurting and feeling very down by all of it. The most important thing to her in that moment was to make sure that Kyle was okay. And Kyle does tell her thank you and says that she did do her own version of reaching out to Dorit and trying to be there for her as well by texting her. And then, oh no, Kyle's crystal gets knocked over. Maybe they have a lightning cable because this, solar charging was just not quite enough. It takes a little too long and everyone's like, oh, that's bad juju. As Kyle continues by saying she was trying to be a good friend to Dorit by reaching out to her as well when the separation was announced. God, I don't know. Y'all, now it's just, they're circling the drain, going in circles. So Garcelle goes ahead and points out to Kyle that it seems as though Dorit wanted Kyle to choose her over PK, while Dorit says, no, that's not it. That she just wanted Kyle to be honest with her. Kyle's own words coming back to haunt her. Just be honest. Now, Bo's on the Hot Mic podcast is brought up, saying that Kyle is a liar when discussing text gate. That's our next topic here. Kyle says she's never been accused of being a liar. Is that true? But Bo says there were lies told with telling everyone the conversation between herself, as in Kyle, and PK was simply memes and jokes. Clearly, there was more than that with the text that she had to read and all of that was implied within it. Kyle is just going to be hung up on the lying aspect. And she's still denying that she ever lies, while Bose tells her simply that lying by omission equals a lie. Yes, especially the verbiage Kyle used. It's just memes and jokes. Mhm. If she had said it's mostly memes and jokes, things like that, it's verbiage means everything sometimes, friends. Because yeah. Anyway, so Garcelle tries to tell Kyle it would be okay to just God, she's like, girl, this is where Garcelle is making it known. This is the type of shit I am so tired of. Because Garcelle's just like, yeah, okay, just tell it's a fine. Tell Dorit. Like, yeah, okay, maybe I did talk a little shit, but Kyle says she didn't. But clearly, that's not true. And that is proven more than once in this one singular part of the reunion, Kyle. Like, what's going on? Mm. Kyle says that the only time she's had a conversation with PK was when he was at her house, and she means about Dorit, for an agency party. And that's when you can just hear Erika going, oh, well, no, don't tell her now. And she explains that she was telling PK why she and Dorit were no longer speaking, but claims they never gossiped about Dorit. But Dorit says, no. That was just Kyle trying to get PK on her side, like how she was trying to get all the other girls on her side by reading the message in Chuck E. Cheese. Who would have thought on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, darling, we'd be talking about Chuck E. Cheese so much. A giant pizza brat. Andy asks Kyle if she's texted with PK since all of this, and she says she texted him when Jagger was in the hospital. I completely forgot seeing this. Which this was back around November. Jagger had to have 2 emergency hip surgeries due to a septic hip. Cool. Well, there's a whole new fear that has been unlocked for me as a parent and also just a human. Because what the fuck, a septic hip? Poor little Jaggy. My God. Now, let me also say this. Kyle sure as shit should have texted Dorit as well when that was happening. And I do not give one rat's patootie what the status of their friendship was at the moment or if Dorit wrote back. Okay? Also, piece of advice, just don't even try and Google what causes septic hip because, oh my God, no, I can't. I'm done. It's scary. Glad Jackie's okay. Dorit says that her issue is that Kyle has this friendship with PK where he holds her secrets. And she holds his, remember? Which Kyle denies that she tells him secrets, but Dorit says, guess what, Kyle? He tells me every single thing, Kyle. Dorit loves to say a name almost as much as Shannon Bedore. Dorit loves to say a first name. Shannon Bedore loves to say a first and last name. Heather Dubrow. And at that moment, when Dorit tells Kyle that, I bet a little bead of sweat just rolled down Kyle's back at that little tummy drop heat flash that just hit her body when Dorit said that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like the same feeling when you're holding something glass in your hands and you're about to drop it or it knocks over, or maybe like having a bottle of nail polish, bright red nail polish on a white countertop, and you knock it over in that moment of, yeah, where your little booty hole goes straight up into your heart. It's now a back and forth of, I knows. With Dorit telling Kyle she knows every time she calls or texts PK, with Kyle claiming she knows that and that it's not like that. But then Dorit says probably the most outlandish thing Dorit could say, which is, do you know how much I've bitten my tongue? Miss Ma'am Dorit, if you had to bite your tongue every time you had a monologue to perform, you would have bitten halfway down your esophagus by now because you always believe you've got something very important to flap your cute little gums about. You wouldn't even be able to monologue anymore. There'd be no tongue. Nothing. Andy asks Dorit what more she knows about the communication between PK and Kyle that hasn't been mentioned. And wow, apparently Kyle called PK after the Oceanside confrontation between her and Dorit. Let me say that a little more slowly, too. Kyle went to her room and called Paul Camsley up after she had a confrontational argument fight with Dorit. Mere days after their separation was announced. Oh my God. You call my husband or ex-husband or any person like that when you had a fight with me? Girl, what do you think is going to happen? You think this big, strong man is going to set this widow girl straight? Ooh, I got to be honest, y'all. I find that to be way, way worse than the text she sent when they separated. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Murder. I'm not threatening anyone, but I probably would if I were Dorit. And I learned that. I am just saying. Do you see my crazy eyes? It's worse than Ramona's crazy eyes. It's crazy. Crazy. Of course, Andy picks up on how bad that truly is and asks Kyle about it. Kyle's explanation is that she thinks PK was with Mo at this time and that she was simply telling PK that there was a huge drama with her and Dorit. Kyle, how do you not understand how bad that is, how wrong that is? If I were Dorit, I right now would be saying some serious things that I think people would expect me to later regret, and I probably wouldn't. Like more serious than Jen Shaw trying to repent in church. More serious than Lisa Renna is about her one hot dog a year. Okay, now more serious than Luann the Countess de Lesseps hearing there is a penis in the building. It would be serious AF. Andy says, this is basically the end of the Kyle and Dorit friendship segment. So if you want your contracts renewed for next season, you better say you'll figure out how to get to a better place with each other so you can at least film together and start next season pretending it's a fresh start and you're good before, so quote unquote, surprising us by fighting again. Kyle says she wants to figure out how she and Dorit can get to a place where they're good with one another and can support each other because they both do need a lot of support right now. And Dorit says she'd like to get together with Kyle, but no cameras, no girls, no Andy. And Andy's like, oh, none of these people, nothing. And actually sit down and see where we are and if it's still there. Kyle apologizes for any way she's hurt Dorit, and she gets where Dorit is coming from. Dorit appreciates that and says she couldn't ask for anything more. Now Jennifer Tilly is coming on stage, glammed out and decked out in sparkles. Dorit has to go fix Jennifer's Jennifer's grand tatas. And Jennifer jokes with Dorit, I know what you're doing. A la Denise Richards thinking Dorit was some sort of a child of the world walking conspiracy theory trying to fix her upside down faux fur jacket. And honestly, y'all, I will never fully get what was going on with Denise at that, little weed dinner party from hell. But my God, it was sure fun to guess. Dear Lord, Kyle's crystal falls again. I mean, even this thing doesn't want to be in the room with all these betches. Like, how negative does the energy in that room have to be that a rock is trying to crawl its way out of here? Andy says he wants to announce one of their most decorated friends of Jennifer Rabbit. Jennifer says, you make it sound like I'm covered with medals of valor. Our flashbacks of Jennifer yelling, Sutton. I have no idea how that's going to sound on audio. I apologize. We get those flashbacks, and I love that type of greeting. Do you know the more excited you are to greet someone, the more excited they are to see you in the future? Maybe I should work on that by greeting y'all. So you'd be a little more excited to see me. Hi, besties. No, that would annoy you. That'd be too much in the ears. Never mind. And Jennifer's laugh. All the brand name dropping is shown. And Andy starts with how Jennifer is Oscar nominated. You're a fashion icon. You're a horror icon. You've won the World Series of Poker. And everyone thought that Andy was starting to call her a prostitution whore. He says that with all of that on her resume, he finds it so fascinating that her Instagram bio only says friend of. No, I don't know why, but okay. No, okay, but I love that. I love that about Jennifer. Like I do. Andy asks her how things have been different for her since joining. Jennifer tells him,
Well, it's really interesting because I used to get a lot of respect. People would come over and be like, "Oh, Miss Tilly, I'm such a huge fan." And then they'd run away. And now they're like, "Oh, scoot over, everybody. We want to sit down and have a kiki."
Then she admits she's a Housewives super fan and that actually being in it is very, very real. Even though it's got the glitz and glam, there's usually screaming followed by that. Andy says he noticed that Jennifer seemed to enjoy spectating, munching on the popcorn, having her dinner and a show when in Oceanside, but that by St. Lucia, when she became involved, she didn't seem like she found that quite as much fun. She confirms that she was having lots of fun with her popcorn watching the show with all the things going on, but that eventually Erika dragged her in a little bit. And you know what? Yeah, I'll give Erika that one. I mean, it was only a little fair that Erika had to just kind of go, okay,
You're not Kathy Hilton, honey. You got to get a bit more involved. Stop watching the show, honey, because you're on it.
Then Jennifer goes off about how she felt like she was clumping along in her
Chubby little swimsuit.
next to these shrinking women who have nothing but jewels on, and how Sutton wore sneakers with her carnival outfit because she heard it was what the girls actually wear, but that they thought she looked like Richard Simmons. Listen, Jennifer Tilly, my ADHD recognizes your ADHD and it salutes you. Apparently, Jennifer's candy stash consisted of Skittles, Good and Plenties, and some other things. Good and Plenties, ma'am. Black licorice? Ugh. But don't worry, Jennifer ate all the candies, even the ones she picked up off the floor. Now, she does admit she has food anxiety, and it's clear she just has to munch on something when she gets stressed out. Now, Jennifer's expensive designer pieces that were on parade all season are brought up. And I'm glad to hear Jennifer say she didn't realize she was such a show off and that she's embarrassed because I adore Jennifer, like more than I can express. And there were a few times that it was like, okay, girl, we get it. You're rich as fuck. We're peasants. We can't carry around a lobster, boat, squid, anchor, a toilet shaped handbag with a brand logo printed all over it. And if we did, people would assume it was a knockoff from Canal Street. They would be like, there's no way your peasant ass could afford that. Louis Vuitton doesn't make that. But Andy does say she's in the right company and on the right platform to be doing that. The Louis Vuitton boat was designed by Pharrell, and Jennifer says she has a very special relationship with her Louis Vuitton person. And you know what? I know exactly what she's talking about because I used to be that type of point of contact for clients when I worked at Saint Laurent in Beverly Hills. Like you would get a heads up about what was on the runway. They'd print off all the papers and you'd have to write next to each thing you saw that you thought you'd have a client for, write their sizes down, write the sizes that you need, things like that. And honey, the way salespeople would have to fight tooth and nail for things our clients wanted because they would only make so many of certain things. Golly. Anyway, Jennifer says,
Some people have a drug dealer. I have a bag dealer.
oh man. Jennifer says that she called up her bag lady about her boat bag to see how much she actually paid for it because the Chiron had said it was $33,000. But she says,
I only paid $24,000, and so I guess I could resell it
for, the $33,000 because now it's a higher amount special edition. And I'm sorry, I'm working on my Jennifer Tilly. She's turning into Dorit a little bit. There's a lot of raspy vocal fries happening with these women. The aquamarine and ruby belt necklace that Jennifer wore for the title shoot is pointed out by someone on Twitter, and it has been called the most important piece, yes, of American jewelry. Huh. And Jennifer just goes,
How clever of me.
and explains Cole Porter commissioned it for his wife, Linda Porter, who was a famous fashionista, and that there's only one out there. And then a bracelet that Jennifer wore for a party is something Erika really noticed. And Jennifer was very impressed with Erika having this eye for it, saying,
It's kind of kitschy, and I think of something like that a trophy wife in Texas would wear that they inherited from their great aunt Ethel.
She can't say whether the Simpsons checks are seven figures, but it's pretty easy to guess that they are. And she keeps all of her jewelry in a safety deposit box at the bank if anyone thinks they're going to get any ideas about doing what was done to Kyle Richards or Dorit. Andy brings up Jennifer being a little shady on the after shows, even though she stayed fairly neutral all season. PK staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel is what he's first talking about, where Jennifer said she didn't think PK could afford that. So Jennifer just goes,
Okay, I'm going to do a preemptive apology, and I did not feel like that was a dig at you, Dorit.
and explains that she thought PK was staying in maybe the bungalows there, which are like $25,000 a night. Who in the morally corrupt Jeff Bezos is paying $25,000 a night to sleep somewhere? But Dorit says no, he was not paying that amount each night at all. And then Jennifer says,
Oh, well, that was tacky of me, but tell your feelings and if that made you feel bad because I did not mean to impugn you and I don't know if PK saw how he felt.
see, Jennifer watches these shows enough to know that's what is coming next and that it's going to be a long-winded moment for Dorit. She's just going to say she knows exactly what is coming next. And so Dorit says,
Well, you know, I have adored you since the moment I've met you. But I was really excited and we've had some fun times. And I think you're such a fantastic addition to this group. I hope you're not going anywhere.
it literally, the way she's starting this, it sounds the way someone in corporate begins when they're about to tell you that, I don't know, you're about to be fired or put on probation or something, you know? Maybe it's something like, you are a fantastic addition to the team, and we appreciate your tenacity. That being said, we ask that you could find another term when you're using, units of measurement, as fuck is actually not a real unit of measurement like you keep claiming. Maybe you could keep it fun by saying as heck. Would that suffice? I would know nothing about being called in to have conversations like that. Dorit then says,
There were a couple of comments that you made. It actually felt like you had joined the dark side.
Jennifer finishes for her, and Dorit says,
Well, like the witches of Eastwick.
oh, the witches of WeHo are going to take offense at that branding, Miss Ma'am. Jennifer admits she has a big mouth and didn't even realize she said anything bad until Garcelle's reaction and the fans saying it was shady. Then they break, and she's saying,
You guys' reunions are exhausting. I don't know how you do it.
we come back from break, and oh my God. When I say to y'all, I was screaming, howling out of my this whole next segment, my friends, when I tell you I'm going to be fighting for my life to make it through without having tears streaming down my face from holding in laughter, I mean it with all of my heart. Fighting for my life. Get your shit together, Caitlin. When Jennifer, we go back, and Jennifer leans over to Garcelle and whispers,
Do you think Sutton's on some anxiety medication?
Garcelle just looks at her and goes, ah. She goes, we're mic'd. And Jennifer, oh my God, Jennifer's face. After she had just been admitting she has a big mouth. Jennifer, let me just worship at your altar, you creepy doll voice, Sylvia, googly bear angel from heaven. Oh. And if you don't get the
Googly bear
reference, how dare you? Oh, and it's only going to get even harder for me to keep it together. I can do this. And Kathy Hilton joins us in a sparkly white dress with a white cape and brings her handbag, which everyone's like, oh, Kathy brings her purse everywhere. Andy immediately brings up Kathy at Sutton's fashion show and asks her how it feels to be called fashion roadkill. Kyle says she thought Kathy was looking for the bathroom and that she was like, of all the times, the show is about to start right now. Dear God, but no, Kathy says, I was talking to Mrs. Girardi. Oh no, just say Erika's mother, Kathy. Because Girardi, we know, was Tom's last name. So it was Erika's, not her mother's. Oh my God. And they start cracking up, and Erika just lets her know,
I'm Mrs. Girardi, but it's okay.
and then Kathy says, "Oh, Mrs. Jayne. Wait, what is your last name?" God damn it, Hilton. Never change, please. They explained to Kathy that Erika Jayne is Erika's stage name. And apparently, Erika's middle name is
Nay.
from her mother's name, Renee, that her father would call her mother supposedly Nay Nay. So her name is,
Erika Nay.
oh, she says it's real country. Now Sutton's the whole episode from last year of starting to faint as soon as Kathy was getting on stage is our topic. And Andy's like, yeah, I'm not going to let you get away with the questions I was going to be asking you last season when you got to dip out. So it's about the weed dinner from hell, only on Housewives. When Sutton said that Kathy called her and yelled at her for not sticking up for her in the press. And Kathy says that Sutton had said she didn't want to get involved in the Kathy and Lisa Rinna drama. So Kathy really didn't like the idea that she had any friend who wouldn't want to get involved. And yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but something on the look that Kyle had on her face listening to this in that moment, Kyle was like, finally, you all are seeing the Kathy I know, the one that I have told you all along would call and yell at me. But apparently Sutton apologized and they're all good now. Andy says Kathy has an uncanny ability to get the women to gossip and spill tea and asks her what her secret is for that. When, of course, Kathy needs an example, Andy brings up the dinner or lunch, whatever it was, that Erika, Dorit, and Bose went to at Kathy's house. But Kathy is saying how funny Bose was, as Bose is reminding her, girl, you said you were Chinese. Okay, so this is where Caitlin, I personally have a little bit of a mea culpa on a previous episode because I don't know why I fully 100% thought Kathy said that at the Caviar Caspia lunch. Because remember, Jennifer Tilly brought up how she is also one of the only, or how she and her sister are the only Chinese American sisters both nominated for Academy Awards. And that it was then, I thought it was edited out. I don't know. Listen, I genuinely have no idea what my brain is doing some days, my friends. Really, I think it operates at its best, which, hey, is probably a lot of people's worst. And I'm just kind of along for the ride. The flashbacks show Kathy telling them that she was in Venice. This lady knew everything and knew I am part Chinese, 3000 BC. Oh my God, you guys, I was howling at this next part, so I'm going to, again, be fighting for my life. Kyle asks Kathy if she is part Chinese. Remember, they have two different dads, by the way. And Kathy goes, this happened on a couture show for Max Mara. And Andy is like, so you heard you were part Asian at a Max Mara fashion show. Oh, Kathy, what can we do with you, ma'am? What can we do? And Kathy goes, yes, it was in a castle. And Kyle asks Kathy, okay, you heard or you did a test. Is it a psychic? Is it DNA? While Andy is asking Kathy, okay, so you heard you were Chinese in Venice, Italy. And Kyle's at the same time asking if they're Chinese or not. And yeah, question. Valid question, I feel. Was it for sure Venice, Italy, or did Kathy get lost and go somewhere she either has never been or visited in at least 50 years? Was it Venice Beach, maybe? Because I could absolutely see someone coming up to her at Venice Beach and being like, you're Chinese from 3000 BC. And Kathy going, oh, what do you know, Rick, did you hear? That this nice young lady who wasn't wearing any pants just told me I am from China 3000 BC. Guess I should go watch Mulan. Kathy says, now, there's a lady that said, what's your name? And I said, Kathy Hilton. And she said, what is your background? And I said, I'm part Northern Italian. And she asked me for my birth name. So I told her and she looked it up, which is then clarified that this woman supposedly found out Kathy was Chinese from 3000 years ago by doing that. And Andy's like, where did this woman look it up? And Kathy just looks at him completely serious on her phone. They conclude, this sage, elder, wisdomly woman. Is wisdomly a word? Full of wisdom. Woman full of wisdom. I Googled this. Kathy, I'm fighting for oxygen here. Kathy's saying that Mauricio and PK aged poorly and how she thought PK, who she also believed his name was PJ, looked 57 years old a decade ago, is our next topic. When asked if she's always been the shady or if it's from being around this group, she tries to joke that, well, maybe they've rubbed off on me a little bit, but no one is letting her get away with that. Andy asks Kathy what her response to Erika's answer to the question of who sucks up to Kathy the most in the group is, but Kathy's just gonna try and just suck on a piece of gum, which Kyle does try to tell her not to do. Sutton chimes in that she and Kathy are friends. We talk a lot, and there's no sucking up to. We are just friends. Kyle asks Sutton if she fainted last year because she was afraid of Kathy, joking, obviously, which Sutton does claim she had a bad case of bronchitis and had to go to the hospital. Okay. Andy asks Kyle and Kathy about Kim because it's been out that she's not been doing well. Apparently, Kim has moved to Florida and is spending time there, doing a little better, and at least better than the last time that there were things about her in the press. Oh boy, Sutton's sisterhood sorority ribbon ceremony is what we move on to. And why are they playing the trailer again for us? But beyond, we've seen it so many times. But then the trailer turns into the Sutton and Dorit war battle show. We already know Sutton's claim that the purpose of all of this was to bring the women together, and the weaponized word will be our word of the day if you need that for your calendar. A Twitter post is brought up that, Dorit calling someone at the table a my country 'tis o' thee, with Sutton reacting by saying Dorit's anger was misdirected. Like, really? That's the part y'all are going to say was too low after Dorit was saying all of that? Garcelle admits that she thinks Bose overreacted to what Sutton said in that moment, which clearly Bose will disagree with that and tells Sutton she used those words to hurt Dorit. But Sutton says it was not said to hurt Dorit. Bose continues that her issue with a lot of these conversations going on is that Sutton can't take accountability for her actions because she fully believes that Sutton was saying that to hurt Dorit. And again, now Sutton's trying to defend herself, telling Bose that Dorit was yelling at everyone and cussing at Camille like crazy, which she was. And wow, big wow at the full words being used without the bleeps and the flashbacks. You watch that uncensored on Peacock, and this is not an ad for Peacock. That's just wild to see. Sutton admits that she can find better ways of saying things and learn from it. And Andy says the first time Dorit opened up to the group about Jagger and how he asked Dorit if she and PK are always going to be best friends, he brings up how Sutton abruptly interrupted Dorit. And Dorit goes, not only abruptly interrupted, you then actually proceeded to be even more of a bitch. Well, it was long. Well, Sutton clarifies that they'd been there for a while and that production had, in fact, asked her to interrupt Dorit. But Dorit just goes, and? Okay. Dorit tries to give Sutton an example of how she could have interrupted her, like, Dorit, I'm so sorry. We have to go. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry, etc. And Sutton is trying to tell Dorit that she didn't know how to do it. And God, y'all know if that ain't the worst feeling when someone is going on and on and on and on, and you're trying to find a window to sneak in and be like, well, guess we better go. That's that Midwest Southern thing of, welp, smacking your hands on your legs and standing up. And you're trying to also at the same time prevent yourself from saying, can you just STFU for the love of Oprah and bunnies? You never shut up and we got to get the fuck out of here. But when Sutton says she didn't know how to interrupt Dorit goes, I thought you were Miss Manners. I thought you were Miss Manners, my Southern manners. Dorit, stop trying to do mean impressions of Sutton. Just stop. It doesn't help. Sutton tells her that she's not Miss Manners anymore, but Dorit says she is and that she should know how to properly interrupt someone. I'm sorry, but it would, I have to say, I'm not defending Sutton necessarily, but I feel like it would be genuinely terrifying to interrupt someone like Dorit. Andy tries to ask Sutton if she could have just tried to say it maybe in a kinder way, and Sutton admits, I did it so poorly. I did it terribly. And she's tearing up, but Dorit has caught her mouse by the tail. And since Dorit has the mouse by that little tail, she is not going to let the mouse go. Dorit says, you did it deliberately. You haven't said 2 words since you've been here. The person that was in the season that was so vicious, with that really beady stare, that you really want to go low. Where is she? She didn't come here today? Well, Dorit, every time Sutton opens her mouth, you talk right over her. So how can she show up? Dorit then asks, she didn't come today, Sutton. Where is she? Because this person is not genuine. That's not who shows up, and it's definitely not who was here all season long. Sutton asks Dorit, where is the person who was calling everybody the C word? But Dorit thinks she's this big bad bitch now that she has Bose on her side sitting next to her, and that she's really just showing up with her 10 toes down. And Dorit says, I'm right here. And that brings us up to Sutton's wallet comment. Andy asks Garcelle if it was bad enough when Sutton made that statement that even she couldn't defend Sutton. And she says, yeah, I couldn't. And Sutton says that even Sutton could not defend Sutton, with Kyle saying she was shocked and thought it was a terrible comment. Everyone is agreeing again, especially because Sutton pretty much doubled down on it in her confessional. But Sutton says that Dorit did kind of call her an alcoholic in her confessional. Okay, that's irrelevant. A completely different subject, but Dorit brings up that she had said, really, it was about how all Sutton's money has brought her from that pocketbook that was dropped in her lap by her ex is a horse and couldn't buy her a date, which Sutton says, yeah, that was mean too. And then we just hear this wrapper being crinkled in this ominous way in the silence. And it's Jennifer Tilly opening up a candy to munch on. Although I do think, even though it was funny, I do think poor Jennifer, it really is something she does to cope with her anxiety and does this in moments of intensity. So do what you got to do, babes. Of course, did you know this? They say that when you want something crunchy to eat, it can be an indication that you're depressed, like when you're just looking for something to eat to feel better. And that if you want something soft, it's because of anxiety. Because I remember when I was in high school, I would always say I wanted to find something soft to eat, probably because I had a lot of anxiety. Dorit can ignore a nuclear bomb, though. Doesn't matter how much crinkle, crunch, munch she's, hearing. She could have a nuclear bomb tsunami drop right outside of her window, and she will not even hear it just so she can make her own point. And this is when Dorit goes, you're not exactly living like the Queen of Sheba. You live on a fucking main road, which makes everyone cringe at the shade. But, I mean, it was wasn't bad, but Dorit did not drag her the way everyone thinks. Someone said this somewhere on the internet that the Beverly Hills ladies basically have it so easy because they say just like anything. And everybody's like, oh my God, the shade. When really, babes, if this was Atlanta, even Sheree could have stuttered through something better than that. Okay. Spring, it's summer, September, fall, spring, summer, September. Andy just goes, so she lives on a street front in Bel Air. That's what you're weaponizing against her. And Dorit goes, I wouldn't want to live on a fucking main road. And see, listen, this is what I'm talking about. Hearing her, like without the beeps to break up her statements, I have to say I've been clearly and mostly on Dorit's side, especially in this whole Sutton Strack war. And I don't know what it is totally, but Dorit sounds like Veruca Salt from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Just a petulant little brat. She continues saying, I'm quite happy where I am, and my life is full of love. There's a hell of a lot more to it than a big bank account. Oh, so now Dorit is insinuating at the same time that she has more love in her life than Sutton does. Okay. And then Dorit tells Sutton, you have to be nice in order to get love. Sutton tells Dorit, you don't need to tell me that there's more to life than a big bank account. Probably because she's also thinking, because you don't know what a big bank account looks like, Dorit. You know what a high credit limit looks like. Two different things. How many credit cards do you have, Dorit? Name them. Name them. Name them. Dorit then says, I don't understand why you think you're superior to anyone. And Sutton tells her she doesn't think that. And then Dorit says to Sutton, well, you certainly behave like it, and I know you're used to buying people with gifts and such. Oh, okay. And Sutton asks her, who am I trying to buy, honey? And that's when Dorit goes, oh, here she comes. First of all, no, that's already been done with the, oh, she's starting. Too late. You cannot coin that one. And Dorit and Erika, in this moment, look far too excited at seeing Sutton get upset after you are pushing her enough now. Like, yes, Sutton was a dick to Dorit all season. She did come in with her tail between her legs. And yes, that's also probably because the fandom called her ass out. Fair enough. But Dorit, how much do you think it's okay to push someone, accusing them of purchasing the relationships in their lives before they're going to crack? And I think she and Erika love to see Sutton crack, and that's where it's frustrating, because even though Dorit has been right and justified in her anger towards Sutton, it makes you look like a bully. It makes you look like such a jerk. It does. And it's frustrating that you take away exactly your own points. But Jennifer just leans over to Garcelle and just goes, I don't like this. And that, my friends, is the conclusion of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion part 2. Whew, friends, my voice. I think I think I'm going to need to be on vocal rest now, but I can't, because it is Summer House night tonight, and I will see you all tomorrow for a recap of Summer House. I will ask you again, besties, if you could just do me a huge favor, if you love this show, beyond leaving a review, if you could do me a huge favor and share this little show called Besties by Bravo with any friends that you think might like it. I can't express to you how much that would immensely support this show that I am trying to really grow. And the more I grow, the more stuff I can bring you. So, huge favor, and I can't thank you enough for it. Please also consider leaving a 5-star review with maybe a comment about what you like about the show. And also go follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Besties by Caitlin, Caitlin, as well as subscribe to the YouTube channel, also at Besties by Caitlin. And if you are watching here on YouTube, I hope you have joined the conversation, hit the like button, and subscribed. And if you like Bravo merch, looking for a good gift for a Bravo bestie in your life, check out the Pop Culture Besties Etsy merch shop. It's all designed by yours truly, and it's supposed to be just a more fun, elevated type of Bravo fan merch. All right, my friends, I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful hump day. Bye.